guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for another video. And today, I'm going to be doing probably the most important video that you'll ever see on Magic TV, like genuinely, for many different reasons, one of which is that this is probably the most frequently asked question that I get here on this channel. And it's a very difficult question to answer. And the reason it's so difficult is because there's no right or wrong answer to this question. It's very much down to individual opinion. So I've kind of skirted away from really going in and answering this question deeply. But it's coming up so many times, I think I just have to give you my point of view. Now, the question I'm going to be answering today is, should you become a full-time professional magician? Now, this is a question that when I started Magic TV didn't really come up very often. And the reason it didn't come up very often is because I started Magic TV at the beginning of the pandemic. So I don't think anybody was thinking about becoming a professional magician other than my friend Kieran Shepherd, who works with me in my company and also works at Prop Dog, who absolutely mental, but, you know, full respect to him, went and became a full-time performer at the beginning of a pandemic, which is incredible. Very few people were thinking that. Excuse me. So at the beginning of lockdown, this question didn't come up. But then as restrictions have been lifted, especially here in the UK, but literally from every single country, I've started getting questions. How do I become a full-time professional magician? How do I know it's right for me to become a full-time professional magician? Now, I could answer this question by talking to you sensibly about making sure that you have a lot of money in the bank, making sure you understand what it means by being self-employed, making sure that you have a business plan, making sure that you have a marketing strategy, and make sure that you've upskilled yourself in aspects of of running a business that you will need in order to become a professional magician. And maybe that's something that I will address at some point down the road. But right now, I'm not going to talk about technically how you become a full-time professional magician. I'm not going to talk to you about any of that side of things. I'm not going to talk about marketing strategy. I'm not going to talk about anything. This video is going to address the simple question, should you turn full-time? Should you become a full-time magician? Because as restrictions have opened up, there's a lot of people that have got into magic during lockdown that want to become professionals. I think there's a gap that's opened up here in the market, especially in the UK. I've got a feeling it's going to be around the world, but in the UK, during lockdown, a lot of professional magicians obviously could no longer perform. So they went and got themselves other jobs. They switched industries in order to support their family. What's happened now is as the world is opening up, as the UK is opening up, a lot of those magicians aren't coming back to work. They're staying in the industry they went in for a few different reasons. And I've spoken to a lot of magicians about this. Some full-time pros or people who were full-time pros are saying that, you know, they've had a taste of what it's like spending time with their family on the weekend, and they don't want to give it up to travel around the weekend and never see their kids. Some people have said they like the stability of having a full-time income, and they don't want to go back to, self-employed status where, you know, it's a gig-by-gig basis and you're working on a gig economy. Some people have said, you know, I want to just do it as a hobby. I don't want to have to be paid to perform anymore. Some people have said that they've switched industries and they love the new industry they're in and they love their new job so much that they don't want to go back to magic. And all of these reasons are valid. But what it's meant is a gap has opened up in the market. There's less professional magicians now than ever before. And the professional magicians that have ridden the wave and that are still operating are absolutely killing it and crushing it. Friends like over here in the UK, friends like Owen Strickland, friends like Tom Mullinger, these people are absolutely killing it. So other hobbyists and amateurs and maybe even semi-pros are looking at this and going, you know what, now is the time. And you're right, maybe now is the time. So the question is, and what this whole video is about after that lengthy introduction, is should you become a full-time professional magician? And here's the thing, this is what I would say to you. I would say 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000% yes, you should do it as long as you believe it's the right thing for you to do. Because here's the thing, you're not going to get anywhere in life without taking risks. That's just a fact. You know, I've met lots of people through my career, because don't forget, as well as magic, I also do a lot with business, and I do a lot of coaching and that side of things. And I've met a lot of people, a lot of business owners especially, that never take any risks. They play it safe. and they get by. But they never hit their goals because every time an opportunity steps in front of them, they bypass it. They avoid it. Because any time an opportunity comes in your way and says, hey, this is an opportunity, take me if you want to. If you don't take that opportunity, if you don't run at it full speed, then you're never going to go further. You're never going to get further. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to do well in life. That's not what I'm saying at all. You can have a happy life. You can have a successful life. No problem at all without taking risks. But if you want something desperately, you have to work for it. You have to take action in order to have that thing. You know, what's somebody's definition of success? One person's definition of success is somebody else's, it's completely different to somebody else's definition of success. It's very hard to define success. And I'm not talking about being successful. I'm talking about becoming a full-time pro, right? That's what I'm talking about. Having the ability to make your entire income from magic. You got to take risks. I have always been the sort of person that wanted to be in a situation when I looked back, I would rather turn around and look back and go, you know what? I tried it, I gave it my best, and I failed. I'd rather be in that situation than looking back and going, I wish I'd have done that. That other person is doing it, and that could have been me, but I didn't. That's just my mindset. That's just the way that I'm wired. The way that I'm wired is I don't want any regrets in life. So when an opportunity presents itself, I'm going to go full on to try and take that opportunity. If I think it's the right opportunity for me, if I think it's the right thing that's in line with my goals, in line with my vision, in line with all of that, if I think that opportunity will help me along further than where I am right now, I'm going to go for it 100,000,000%. And that's the thing about taking a risk. It's never going to work. It's never going to pay off every single time. I've took lots of risks throughout my career. Throughout my career, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and as a magician, I've taken lots of risks. Some of them paid off. Some of them didn't. That's just a fact. However, if I had never taken a risk, ever, in my entire life, I would not be where I am right now. If I'd have never taken a risk, I would probably be working in some business somewhere, doing a 9-to-5 job that I absolutely hate, because I had to take a risk right from day one. I had to tell my, I was working for npower. I was working, teaching, the people that knock on the doors back in the day and try to change your gas and electric over. I was working at npower. I was training those people. And it was a very well-paid job. I was kind of left alone because I was working from home and I didn't have to answer to anybody really. It was a great job. It was a very well-paid job, but I just wasn't happy. And that was the first risk I took. I walked into HR one day and I told them that they could shove their job up their arse with no plan whatsoever. I told my job to shove their job up their arse. I then went home to Sarah, who was my fiance at the time, and I told her that I told my boss to shove the job up their arse. And she wasn't very happy, as you can imagine. But I knew that that was the right thing to do. And doing that meant that I could then go into magic full time. When I went into magic full time, I was then able to be in control of my own income and generate gigs, and I wasn't beholden to a company. Could it have fallen flat on my arse? Absolutely. Could I have died on my arse? Absolutely. But genuinely, if I'd have never taken that risk or any other risk in my career, I wouldn't be where I am now. I'd be working in some office doing a 9-to-5 job. That's just a fact. Not every risk has paid off. I remember the first time I did a stage show. It was at a comedy club where I absolutely died on my arse. I wasn't ready. Somebody said, hey, would you like to headline a comedy club? And I said, yes, I'd never been on stage before and I wasn't funny. I went to that comedy club. I absolutely died on my arse. I had to sit there while the last act of the night, a guy called DJ K Weezy, spent 20 minutes rapping about how shit I was. That was a horrible moment. It took me years before I had the confidence to get back on stage again. That was not a risk that paid off. But if you continue to take risks, you're going to be further along than if you hadn't. I hope that makes sense. I'll tell you one story, one very important story, and it's about how I started doing illusions. So I always liked the idea of doing an illusion show. But I didn't really know where to start. I didn't really know what to do. And this is back when I was working with a guy called Russell Leeds, and we were kind of working together. And I said to Russ, we should set up an illusion show together. And he was like, oh yeah, we definitely should. How do you do that? I was like, I don't know. I'll do some research. So I Googled it. And I realized that I could put a pretty good illusion show together for about £10,000. The only problem is I didn't have £10,000 at all. Had no money. So what did I do? Well, I tried to borrow the money. Nobody had the money to lend me. So I convinced my wife, my loving wife, who at the time was a head teacher at a school and had lots and lots of money. She was a head teacher at a primary school. And I convinced her that that it would be a good idea to put £10,000 on her credit card. Which she didn't really want to do, but she loved me, so she let me off. And I bought a whole load of illusions. I mean, I bought a stack load of illusions that got delivered to the house, and I was so excited that these illusions were going to get delivered to the house. You know, I was like, "This is it. We're gonna be illusionists. We're gonna be illusionists." I failed to really comprehend the size of these things. So when they turned up at the house in a lorry, I had nowhere to put them. I was living in a little house. I had nowhere to put them. So I put them outside in the back garden underneath a piece of tarpaulin. And then I realized that, they don't come with instructions. It's not like a normal magic trick. So I didn't even know what to do with it. And then I realized that I didn't even have a girl. You know, these illusions, you need a girl to put in I didn't have a girl. It was just me and Russ. So we were just woefully underprepared. I'd just spent a load of money. Sarah was furious. She was trying to tell me to send them back. They wouldn't allow them to go back. So I was stuck with a load of illusions that I didn't know how to use, with nobody to put in the box. Oh, and by the way, you need a big van to drive the illusions around. And I didn't have a big van. I can't even drive. Russell drove. He drove a little Skoda. It was just like the worst idea in the world. Worst idea in the world. So what did I do? Well, we managed to blag somebody to lend us their warehouse where we stored the illusions, and they had a little space in their warehouse that they didn't use, and we could go in there in the day and practice, and that was quite good. And we hired a van, and we got Russell's girlfriend Anna to go in the box, and we practiced these illusions, and we got pretty good at them. And then here's the thing: I got a phone call wanting me to do a big, massive birthday party for one of the richest people. I Googled him at the time. He was like the 7th richest person in the world. When we got to his house in London, it wasn't a house, it was a village. Like, people were driving around in golf carts, and this is in central London. I went past 4 buildings and massive buildings until I got to another massive building, which was just where his staff lived. Like, it was insane. And we went and had a conversation with one of his PAs there, one of his many PAs, and she booked us to do this guy's daughter's 6th birthday, but she wanted a full-on illusion show, full-on themed illusion show. And she said, I'll never forget this. She said, "Hey, how does we've been thinking about it as to how much to pay you, for this full illusion show. How does £10,000 sound?" I was like, I'd never seen that much money in my life. I didn't know you could make that much money for a gig. I was like, yes, that will do. And, we went and did this show, and off the back of it, it allowed us to raise our prices. And off the back of that, we got more illusion shows and more illusion shows. And that put me off in a completely different direction. But here's the thing. If I hadn't have spent money that I didn't have and put myself into debt, and my wife into debt in order to buy those illusions, we wouldn't have them. We wouldn't have them. So when we had the phone call saying, "Hey, can you do an illusion act for my daughter's birthday?" I would have said no, because we haven't got illusions. As it happens, we took the risk, got all of the stuff, practiced it, got good at it, and then with the first gig that we did, we made the money back and then some, and all the illusions we bought. So there's an example of taking a risk that could have gone really badly. That's an example of taking a risk that could have blown up in my face. And it could have actually meant that, financially, it could have been big trouble for me and Sarah, and we didn't have any kids back then, but it could have been big trouble. But as it happens, it paid off. That's what I'm trying to tell you right now. If you want to become self-employed, you've got to be prepared to take the risk. If you sit there and just go, next month, next year, next year, next year, it'll never happen, because it's so easy to put stuff off like this. If you genuinely think that you can become a full-time professional magician, and you genuinely think that you can make a living from magic, and you think this is your calling, and you think this is what you want to do, and you have a clear mental image of you performing professionally, and that's your thing, then man, take the risk. 100% take the risk. I can't guarantee you it's going to pay off. I can't guarantee you it'll work. I can't guarantee you it won't work. All I can tell you is I've taken every single risk. You got to look at the risk, and you got to decide. You got to decide if the risk is worth it. I'm not telling you to take every single risk. When an opportunity presents itself and it's a bit risky, you have to look at it and you have to ask yourself, what is the best possible outcome? What is the best case scenario? Then you have to ask yourself, what is the worst case scenario? If this completely goes Pete-tongue, what is the worst possible thing that can happen? And if you can live with the worst possible outcome, if you can live with the worst possible outcome, then go for it. Because you might succeed, and if you do succeed, you'll be in a much better place than you were before. So always look at every single risk, and always try to decide whether the risk is worth it. And only you can decide that. Only you can decide it based on your personal situation, what the risk is. There's a million different factors, but you need to decide what the best case scenario is, what the worst case scenario is. And if you can live with that worst case scenario, then go for it. And like I say, I can't guarantee you that it will work. I can't guarantee you that it will pay off. But I can guarantee you that if you take that risk and it does work, brilliant. But if it doesn't work, if you look back, you won't look back with regret. You won't look back saying, I wish I'd have done this, because you've done it. And at least then you'll know. So there you go. The question is, should you become a full-time professional magician? The answer is, if you want it bad enough, and you realize it's hard work, and you realize it's not going to be plain sailing, and it will be a massive risk trying to do it, then I would say go for it. If you can live with all of that, go for it. I know that's what I did. I took a risk. I became a full-time professional magician, and I haven't looked back, and I'm in a great situation. I'm very happy with where I am. But as I say, I've took a lot of risks, and some of them haven't paid off, but every single time I take a risk and it hasn't paid off, and it's the worst case scenario, I can live with that, because I already worked out what the worst case scenario should be. So there you go. Hopefully that helps. Now, this is a very different video for Magic TV. I've been trying to think for a while about how to do this video. It's not a video that I've probably filmed this like 5 times now, trying to think of the right way to address this. But this, you know, on Netrix, I've got tons of videos about how to level up. So how to go from being an amateur to doing your first paid gig, then how to go from doing your first paid gig to doing like becoming a full-time professional magician. There's loads and loads of content like that on Netrix. So you want to know the more specifics about it and the whys and wherefores and break down all of that stuff, for sure, not a problem. That's absolutely fine. I can more than happily point you in the direction of where to get that information from. But this video is about whether you should do it, whether you should do it from a mindset point of view. You know, always believe in yourself. Always believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then how is anybody else expected to believe in you either? It's my friend Brad Burton, who's the UK's #1 motivational business speaker. And he turns around and he says, you know, never have a plan B. Only ever have a plan A. Because if you've got a plan A, and you believe in your plan A, that's great. But if you've got a plan B, it means you don't believe in your plan A. And if you don't believe in your plan A, how can anyone else believe it? Yeah, it's as simple as that. So very different video for Magic TV. I hope you enjoyed it. If you check out Magic TV just because you want to see tricks and you want to see reviews and you want to see me smashing close-up pads over my knee, then normal service will resume soon, I promise. This was just a one-off video in order to answer a question that a lot of people ask me. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Once again, thank you for joining me right here on Magic TV. If I can help in any way that I can, I will. If you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video at 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 2 o'clock. I'll see you then.